What's up, preppers? The Bearded Prepper here. I'm getting ready to disappear into the mountains for a couple of days on the trail with my kids. Gonna have some good fall family time, enjoying nature, practicing living minimally, if you will, carrying everything you need right on your back. And I just thought I'd give you a quick rundown of some of the things I take with me. You know, you can quickly get overloaded if you start thinking of all the things that you want to take with you. But you know, if the things you want to have ready to grab quickly and disappear are at hand, you can pack up and scat, or you know, some people will actually have a bag already packed up and ready to go just in case. I leave a lot of my stuff packed, especially for hiking and backpacking and such. So I'll kind of start with the most important. I mean, granted, I'm going to have my clothes, and I'll have a weapon of some sort, usually a firearm of some sort with me. I live in an area where we have bears, and more dangerous than bears are those woolly critters called human predators out there sometimes. So I like to be protected and protect my kids. Of course, I'm going to take my big dog with me, like I talk about, not just for giving me a heads up if something's going on. Yeah, you can see a little bit of my kids' stuff and such over there too. So everybody's going to have a pack with their essentials in it. As for me, I want to make sure, most importantly, that I have water. You can see there my SteriPan and my backup water treatment source if that fails. And then of course my third level of water supply that I'll get into in a minute, my cooking gear there. So very important. You cannot do without water, especially if it's warm outside. And you know, right behind water, I always carry a single wall water bottle with me in case I need to double that as a stove or a pot as well. So you know, I've got my bandana there. I usually have a couple. One to protect my head, don't have as much hair as I used to, absorbs the sweat, keeps the bugs off of me, such as that. But you can use that as a pre-filter if you find yourself in a situation where you're collecting water that has some large particles in it. You can put that over your water container and let it sip through it, or seep through it, I guess I should say, and it'll get the big particles out before you start treating it. So you have to have food, but you know, you also have to have shelter. This is my sleep system. Some people use a tent. My daughter prefers a tent. She doesn't find a hammock comfortable. But I do have, most importantly, I have my fly there, my rain fly, which is a tarp. I usually have an assortment of tarps with me. Lightweight, packs down, keeps the weather off of me. You know, I have my hammock there that I use to keep me up off the ground. It's what I prefer. I find it very comfortable, and the next thing closest to a bed I can find. And of course I have an air pad. Having a good dependable air pad not only makes sleeping comfortable, but it insulates you from the cold mountain air, so you're able to sleep comfortably. You know, even if you're in your sleeping bag, once you squish it down against the ground or against a hammock, you lose all insulation on the bottom, so that keeps you separated and makes it more comfortable. And in that dry sack I have my sleeping bag. It's actually part of a military sleep set that I take. It rates down to about 40 degrees, but just in case I get colder, I've got a small little liner there that I take with me. It's kind of like a sheet sewn into a rectangle that you just slide yourself down in. Believe it or not, that little bit of extra material will give you some extra warmth sometimes. So, you know, beyond that, right over here, I mean, it has multiple purposes, but you know what? You take a couple of hand warmers on a cold night, throw it in the foot box of your sleeping bag. It'll keep you nice and toasty. You know, you think outside the box, it takes up minimal space. They're not that expensive. It could save your feet in a really cold situation. So, you know, after water and shelter, I like safety. I told you I usually carry some type of firearm with me, whatever I can get away with. And but you know, beyond my pocket knife, my backup knife, I also have my Columbia River knife and tool tomahawk with a hammer on the back. I've showed you that in a previous video. And I carry a can of bear spray. You know, bears usually don't mess with you, especially if you have a dog along, but having, you know, people of varying degrees of honesty in the world, it's a good thing to have, especially if you find yourself facing multiple bad guys. You spray that big can of pepper spray out, everybody's going to clear. Just make sure that you and your team are protecting your eyes and your nose so you can get away while they're choking. So after, you know, water, shelter, safety, no, you know, let me just point out the good old hiking stick right in the middle there. That's not only to help you avoid spills on the trail, tripping or falling, it also can be used as a weapon as well. So I find that important. But you got your food, water, you got your shelter, you got your safety. Next thing I like to focus on is food. I use these Mylar bags here with a resealable bag. And you know, I'll pack things like we're gonna have chicken and rice. I throw instant rice, some bouillon, chicken bouillon in there, a pouch of chicken or either a can of chicken. You can get the freeze-dried meats if you want. Throw some seasonings in, maybe some dehydrated vegetables. You got a great camp meal right there. Just put boiling water in it and let it sit sealed up, and it will reconstitute and cook in the bag. It's a great meal. My boys are preferring chicken and couscous, so they've got some chicken broth bouillon with some couscous and some canned chicken. That's going to be their dinner. And of course, we go with even our breakfast. We usually pack in that just for ease. I'll get some oatmeal with some peanut butter and honey, or brown sugar and raisins or something like that. Maybe some muesli and some powdered milk. All you have to do is add water to it, or boiling water to it, and you're good to go. And you know, to cook that, I have my cook set here. I like this little teapot. It seems to work better than just a pot because of the wide bottom. Fits on my stove better. And I have an MSR pocket rocket with a stabilizing stand for the tank. Just a little towel, and there's a lighter and stuff in there too. So you can hold a liter of water in that little pot. These little gas bottles take up little space. I have some other options too, like an alcohol stove. I have a biomass stove that's backpackable, things of that nature. But I just carry a tablet stove, as I've showed you before, as my backup. Works great, especially for just boiling some water and such. You know, I don't believe that trail life or living with everything carrying on your back has to be uncomfortable or difficult. You know, if I'm going on the Appalachian Trail, I'll take one of these guides with me. Tells you where gives you maps of cities and towns, shows you where all the shelters, the water sources, things of that nature, different roads by number and name. It lists where the trail crosses that. So if you're in the eastern United States, you can actually use this guide, if you find the Appalachian Trail, to navigate your way north or south pretty easily. Find different towns, or you can calculate the distance and the mileage to it. And one thing that you need to notice here is that line is an elevation guide. So it tells you how much elevation above sea level you're gaining and losing. So you can look at the terrain as you're traveling. And you know how far it is to your next water source, things of that nature. Just a little something I've always kept with me. And you can see that's 2018, it's quite old, but you know, the trail changes very little. And public roads out in the country change very little too. So these are a couple of things I've picked up along the way. They're actually hiker or freezer bag cooking cookbooks. It gives you recipes, different things that you can cook a meal with just boiling water in a bag, usually a freezer bag or something like that. You can see I have my favorite recipes tabbed and marked. So it makes life a little more bearable if you have to live without, you know, the comforts of your home. And you know, speaking of comforts, I keep you can see my boot there. It's not very big, very lightweight. Little bag chair that collapses down into a small bag. If I have room, I'll usually take that. Not that it's necessary, but I have found that even a little bit of comfort when you're out in the wild, if you will, out in the wilderness, away from the comforts of your home makes a big difference. So, you know, you've got a little chair with a hot meal, a nice cup of coffee, makes everything better. So I'd love to hear what kind of basic items you think that you need or like to carry if you go either out backpacking or you know, in a bug out bag or something like that, because you have to be realistic, otherwise it gets so heavy you can't carry it. But you know, I use these little family getaways or even sometimes just solo getaways as practice. You know, if I do this frequently, then I know how to survive out in the woods. I know what kind of things I need. I know how to be resourceful. Anyway, it's good to be prepared, and practice makes perfect. So plus it gives me a great opportunity just to get away from the hustle of the world and reconnect with my Lord, and just kind of recenter. So until next time, be smart, be prepared. God bless. I'm the Bearded Prepper, signing off.